All right, we are saving the best for last, and that means there's going to be some math. We're going to talk about cost benefit analysis. I'm going to refer to it as return on investment, ROI, and we're going to get into business cases. So, simply put, what is your cost benefit analysis? What is your ROI? It's what you get out of what you invest. So, if you spend $1 and you make five, that's what your ROI is, that $5. There's a lot of things you need to factor in, and not all of them make sense. So you may need to get creative when you're measuring what your costs and your savings are and that type of stuff. We'll get into that in just a second. You want to perform this primarily because you want to make sure what you're doing is financially sound. You want to make sure that it benefits yourself, your business, your family, whatever it is. And you may need it to justify an investment from a bank or something like that. So you're going to need to work these numbers out ahead of time before you make big decisions. And then, like I said, we're going to talk about fuzzy numbers, but you want to make sure that they're realistic. So when you're going to a bank and you want to talk about some cost savings that you might get from a purchase, yes, there might be this is going to improve productivity because it's going to take less hours to do, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But what about employee morale? How do you measure that? There is a way to measure everything, and you can check in the links below for a good recommendation on how to on a book to read on how to measure everything. But don't factor out anything. Don't like everything should be considered when you're talking about what the costs or benefits are to a particular project. You don't want to make it look good just for the sake of making it look good. And this isn't just a pat on the back. This isn't you saying, okay, here's this project I want to do, and therefore here's all the reasons why I want to do it, and I'm going to do it regardless of what they say. So make sure that everything you're doing is conservative enough that it's realistic, that worst case scenario, you could still make money, but you want to make it attractive enough that on like a best case scenario, investors are going to be really happy that they gave you some money. That said, getting into business cases. So the ROI is it's pretty simple. It's everything that you can make, all the pros minus the cons divided by the cons. That is in the PDF that is provided for those who aren't mathletes like myself. But it's pretty simple, just to let you know that okay, here's what I can potentially make. You need to consider things like the timeline of your project. So if you're buying a piece of machinery, it's expensive, but you're going to own it for 10 years. You need to factor that in. I'm not going to get into that, but this is on the surface, just a simple way for you to figure out how, whether or not what you're doing makes sense. The business case, on the other hand, this just explains your logic. So it's going to show that you've thought through the process of what you're doing. So you're going to list out your pros, your cons, your costs, your savings, all of that. The benefits of performing, the benefits of doing something else, including nothing, because that's something that could happen if you don't do this. And you want to give the decision maker. So if you're pitching this to a bank or an investor or whoever it is, you want to make it look like they've got options, but you're really pushing them towards the one option that you want. Of course, you want feedback, but at the end of the day, like you want to give them that illusion of choice, that they are making an informed decision, which they are, on what you want to do. Business cases can be formal or informal. For most of your small business decisions, you're not going to use like any of this. Like you just know that this is a good idea, bad idea, whatever. And so this is just you comparing some things and saying, okay, we're going to go this direction. We're going to spend, $500 on a marketing firm and see what they can do, whatever. Just like nothing big. The formal cases are necessary for investors, and essentially your business plan, which we've already talked about, is just a really long business case. So everything that you put in your business plan should be considered when you're talking about a business case. And your ROI is like, that's just your financials when it comes to the projections in your business plan. So this is what I think I can make based upon all the information I know. That's all this is. There's no set format. We have some options for you to use, but again, that's totally up to you. It's uh, a lot of that also really depends upon who your audience is. So just know your audience, know your numbers, and get ready to defend them. Big things to iterate throughout this discussion. A lot of the decisions you make are made using your gut instinct, and your gut instinct is instinct for a reason. Like it's built upon years of knowledge and all of that, and that's fine. But if you are making a big decision, an expensive decision, whatever it is, just make sure that you have justified that and look at it from different angles. Don't forget that cost avoidance is a benefit, and also don't just write a business case or create an ROI to make yourself feel better about the decision you're making. Have hard conversations with yourself and get input and feedback. Go to your accountant, go to a vendor, go to your neighbor, whoever it is. And then finally, just be realistic. Again, you're not trying to trick yourself into doing something. You want this to be a success, and that's why you're doing this.